Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, Donald Trump comes out and says Zelensky is actually working against peace. He says Zelensky is harming peace talks. Remember, the Ukrainians and the Europeans generally claim that Putin doesn't want to discuss, negotiate. They just drag their feet and they're just, illogical here. Well, Donald Trump says no. Actually, it's easier to deal with Putin than to deal with Zelensky. Some people might find that statement, how should I put it, nice and good. You might feel good about if someone says, hey, it's harder to deal with Emil. Well, when you deal with someone, we negotiate, try to make a deal, you try to gain the most for you. So it could be hard, but if my decisions are going to harm my people, then I should be removed. A good example is Poland before September 1st, 1939. Poland was also tough and it's difficult to deal with by the evil Nazis. And what happened? It got partitioned and then thrown to the wolves, to the Soviets. By whom? By the free world. So being a tough negotiator or hard to deal with, it doesn't mean necessarily that's a quality. Sometimes it's a defect. So that's the two topics that I have for this video. Harming the peace process, according to Trump, and being more difficult than the dictator Putin to deal with. And we also find out the date when the United States of America's Witkoff, Stein, will see Putin for the third time. Why? Because the United States of America figured out that the Russians seems to be more reasonable to talk to than the guys in Kiev, not the Ukrainians, the guys in Kiev. Always make the distinction. The guys who represent you might not be your family. Could be someone else, appointed by outside interests. That's the case of Ukraine, I think. I'm pretty sure, 99% certain. All right, let's start with the first one. This is from the 23rd of April, 2025. Trump accuses Zelensky of harming peace talks. Well, if you want peace, then remove Zelensky. That's the clear message here. The Ukrainian leaders refuse. Now, I don't know why Russia Today is one of the... Russia Today is Russian. Why would you keep calling Zelensky Ukrainian leader? I don't understand. Because when you do that, you really make him part of the Ukrainian nation. But if you talk to the Ukrainian nation, I don't think they consider Zelensky Ukrainian. No, I can't speak for the Ukrainians overall in their entirety. But I know how Zelensky, Shmihal, Reznikov, Yermak are seen by a lot of Ukrainians. All right. I know some comments will be, Emil, you don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly. So, keep going. The Ukrainian leader's refusal, instead of saying the leader of Ukraine, that would be more appropriate, in my view, refusal to discuss territorial concessions is prolonging the conflict, the US president had says. Well, it's very much discussable. Why should this president of a foreign country, imply that you guys, Ukrainians, need to make territorial concessions to another country? The problem is this. There is a reality and there's an unicorn reality, an ideal reality, right? So the ideal reality here is that the Ukrainian troops will harbor the Ukrainian flag on the Kremlin one day, preferably yesterday, right? And we can write the histories and we're gonna teach the Russians how to become, like us. All right. But that's not reality. That's unicorn reality. The reality is you are losing. You're going to be done as a country, as a nation. And you have two options. One, make peace now, or the Russians will queue up. Unless the third option will be viable, which it hasn't been for 3 years, the Putin regime will collapse, or you will get to put that flag on top of the Kremlin. So reality gives you two options, peace or lose it all, as Trump said yesterday. You like it or not, reality just is. the sun shines. You might like it or not, but still shines over there. Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky, now I like this one better than Ukrainian Zelensky, could lose the entirety of his country if he continues stalling talks with Russia, the US President Donald Trump warned in a post on Truth Social on Wednesday. I covered that in a video earlier today. This statement is very harmful to the peace negotiations with Russia in that Crimea was lost years ago, Trump wrote, according to Ukrainian leader again, of prolonging the conflict. The situation for Ukraine is dire. He can have peace or he can fight for another 3 years before losing the whole country. That's what I covered in the previous video earlier today and more. So what are you going to do? Tough choices. And if you want to look for one of the guys responsible for these tough choices that unfortunately the Ukrainian people will have to make through you, look in the mirror, Zelensky. That's what I say. Zelensky did not like anything about the peace process written and signed and agreed, which became international law, Minsk Agreement 2nd, which is part 2, 2015. He said, I don't like anything about it. So when war again broke out in 2022, I think bring Zelensky a mirror when he's going to look for some guilty party. But not all of it, part of it. It could have been peace in Ukraine. It could have been much different, but it's all right. Sometimes it's good to grab the bull by the horns. The problem here, you had little tiny arms grabbing the bull by the big bull by the horns. But it's hoping that those guys that put you in office, you're going to be successful. Unfortunately, failed. Consequences are dire for the Ukrainians. Next one. Putin easier to deal with than Zelensky, Trump says. Now, some Ukrainians could say, well, I like a tough negotiator, a tough guy that is hard to deal with. Well, it's always about the consequences of the negotiations and when you make a deal. Are the consequences positive for you, Ukraine, so far? I don't think you can say yes. You will say no. So this guy who was tough, he was the guy who defended you against Russia when Russia invaded unprovoked your country. So what I'm saying, this tough guy, if you think that he's a tough guy, his actions got you where you are right now. He was in charge. War, I think, could have been avoided, prevented. How? By Zelensky not being where he is as a president. Now, if Zelensky is over there, we can't change that. He was promoted, pushed, and all that by those guys. He had a little list. That's clear. That's what happens. Do you think they allow all baboons do that? I mean, I think Putin is his own man. I don't think Trump is. I don't think Trump is, how should I put it, is not having interests that push and pull him. And one of those interests, it's a big lobby interest in Washington, D.C. It starts with an A and it ends with a C. Okay. All right, that's it. Let's move on. So, the US president previously accused the Ukrainian leader of undermining peace efforts. That means he's got to go. US President Donald Trump has admitted that he expected Vladimir Zelensky to be much easier to deal with than Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now you can say, well, he's a bazaar guy. I agree, he's a bazaar guy, but still, he's losing another people's country. That's the problem. Zelensky publicly rejected the reported key point in the proposed U.S. peace framework for resolving the Ukraine conflict, insisting earlier that this week that Kiev will not even discuss formally recognizing Crimea as Russian territory. The White House criticized him for revealing sensitive details of the negotiations. Trump warned that Zelensky risks losing the entire country. It's the same thing. I think Russia is ready. I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky. Well, there you go. This is according to Trump. And I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far, it's been harder. The US president added That's okay. It's all right. Expressed hope that we will have a deal with both. Okay. All right. So you can be tough. You measure the toughness not only because you're tough. I don't want to deal. Oh, Emily's tough. Yeah, but his country is going to burn. So he has to be a little bit more flexible. And the conclusion is this. You can leave Zelensky be over there in charge of Ukraine and the Russians will take over everything. Or you can have this guy be a little bit flexible. Now you can say, well, he can't, Emil. He's got those guys behind him over there. If he dares to say that Crimea is Russian, he's going to be done. It's true, but this is not the only option he has. I can tell you, he can definitely, if he is under this kind of threat, he can definitely remain in South Africa where he is right now and say, I'm done, my friends. I got my luggage full of dollars and that's it. And I'm guaranteeing you that the Americans will provide him with protection. Or the Brits, but the Brits I don't think they will because the Brits want him to continue what he's doing. So the fact that, I hear this argument coming from many, saying, well, those nationalists behind him that will immediately take care of him and so on. Do you think that Zelensky, if he wants to get out, he can't get out? And those nationalists were going to bring someone else, which is going to be Michal, the prime minister or whomever, or whatever. They can do this. No, I don't buy that one. I don't think that Zelensky is under the threat of those nationalists. And he can't say that because those guys will get him. Why? Because he's a patriot, Ukrainian patriot. Because sometimes he wears the Ukrainian little around the neck and he's a patriot. And he has the or how do you call that, the flag. Please, my friends, don't be baboons. No, he's not. He wants to stay over there. He has this personal observation. Now, I based my observation on my knowledge, that is literature, that is studies and courses, classes, plus direct experience with drug addicts. Okay, so I think I know I'm more experienced in knowing how to notice a drug addict from the population more than the general population. Why? I had this and I had the experience. I know about it. I never practiced that kind of thing. So when you hear Zelensky, look at Zelensky before he was, let's say in 2022, in February, March, 2023, look at Zelensky. He never had these twitches that he has right now. Now the twitches, if you look at those twitches are nostril aspiration, my friends. All those things that are over there that you see this guy, those things came in the past 2 years. At the most 2 years. I think the guy, and I have no direct evidence, but my direct experience with it and knowledge. I can't ignore if the sun outside is light outside to say it's not light because I don't know, I'm not a scientist. Well, the freaking light is out there. And that is because of that little thing over there, the sun. The same with Zelensky. I don't think he's how should I put it? Healthy. Let's put it this way. And I don't think he's a caged animal by the nationalists either. Next one. U.S. media names possible date for U.S. envoy meeting with Putin. So this guy who said that, right, Zelensky is harming the peace process, and the same guy who says that it's harder to deal with Zelensky than with Putin, says it's okay, we're going to send this guy again, another Zelensky Stein, Mr. Vitkov, you're going to send him to meet Putin on Friday, again to discuss the peace process. I'm telling you, Zelensky will either forcefully removed. Now, that is through an accident, through a medical condition, heart attack or mini stroke or something like that, or a helicopter crash or something, or he is going to decide, you know what, I'm fed up for the good of Ukraine, like Yeltsin resigned in 31st of December 1999. I decide to resign and let Putin be in charge. I'm out of here. Do you think that's the way it was? There are two options, or possibilities, the main ones. He was made to by Putin's guys. Oh, Putin was asked 2 times before and he said, I don't want to do it. Okay. You didn't want to do it, but then you did it. Somehow they made you, okay? Is that a rape or something? What did they do to you? That's the first one. These guys pulled a thing on him, on I was about to say Khrushchev, god damn it. Yeltsin. Or Yeltsin realized that his country, he was dying, and he said, you know what, I shouldn't remain as a buffoon who sold our country to the West. Maybe I make one thing that some people will say I was a patriot, and said I'm going to leave this in this guy's hand, and I hope he's going to reverse the oligarchs' grabs of Russia and reverse it. And Putin did all that. So either Yeltsin was a patriot and a smart guy nevertheless, I mean, goes without saying, or the other guy said we can't have it done like this, we have to pull a little coup d'etat here and get this drunk out. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.